When society sees us, well, some members of society sees us, we're discriminated against. Women in particular are discriminated against because automatically the value of what they see based on our body parts is how society deems and defines what a woman should be. Living with a disability, and particularly living at the intersection of being Black, female, and disabled, I have seen and witnessed all of the discrimination biases that I could possibly witness. And it was because of all of the assaults and all of the messages and all of what I saw throughout the decades that divas had to be born. Divas had to be born. It had to come about. I didn't know exactly how Divas would actually become the organization that it is, but it had to be because I was constantly getting these messages, and I just cannot believe that my life was going to be defined by how others would perceive me as being disabled. Now, of course, the word disability is applied to us and disabled is applied to us, but it's just a name. And it doesn't define us. And that's one of the messages that we at the Divas, with Divas with Disabilities, we really hone that, and we really own that we don't own disability. I mean, we don't own being disabled. We use disability as a sense of power. Why? Because we are empowered. Because we live with one leg, one arm, maybe blind, and other chronic illnesses that define our bodies, we move and transcend beyond our disabilities. Divas, dynamic, illuminating, victorious, achieving sisters. That's what Divas stands for. And we understood that diva and disability could coexist in a single person. So that's another reason why Divas had to be born, because we wanted to show that if we wanted to walk out without canes and struts or a spin in our wheelchairs, that we could do so. And we could do so proudly and boldly without any of the assaults, because we show up unapologetically. We are proud of our bodies. We own our bodies. We wanted to show, or Divas is really about standing in truth, standing in authenticity, and living out our lived experiences without the criticism, but also knowing how to advocate and be powerful to basically debunk those stereotypes and myths. So there's a poem that somewhat defines Divas with Disabilities, and that is, do not try to constrain me. Never try to fit me in a box, for I am more, so much more than you can force to fit in the tiny space limited by your own lack of vision. So that poem somewhat encapsulates what Divas is all about. So what is Divas? Nonprofit organization that amplifies the images and representation of Black and brown women. We use Divas with Disabilities as a space to promote our talents, to promote our gifts, so that if we want to show up on a TV set, we should be hired. And when a young girl with a disability happens to turn on a television set, she would see herself. Or when you look through these glossy magazines, do you see me? Do you see her? Who do you see when you see those the images? Do you see? Well, we want to see ourselves. We want to see ourselves reflected in mass media. We want to see ourselves reflected in advertisement. We are consumers. We have over $1 billion, right? That's out there on the table that's not utilized because society, some members of society, don't see us being able to, live normally, right? I mean, we don't take baths. We don't put on perfume. I mean, what is that about? So I really wanted to create an organization that would encompass and embody all of the sort of negative stereotypes that were placed out there. And we wanted to take and flip disability on its head. So Divas with Disabilities came together as a Facebook group. Actually, it started as a Facebook group, and it was women with disabilities, and we all found that we had something in common. We also talked about our lived experiences, and then it just morphed into this organization now that has programs such as, we have an initiative called the DIVAS State of Mind Initiative. And this initiative mentors young girls. It uses the empowerment model to work with young girls so that they too can go out and be self-advocates and promote disability justice, because we're in all realms of society. I mean, I could really talk about how hospital rooms, or sometimes when some divvies go to different, go to a hospital, go to a doctor's office, what happens there is that sometimes the tables are not accessible. I mean, and we want to talk about how many times divas have gone on auditions, have gone to audition, and the spaces are not accessible. I mean, disability justice is really looking at all of the areas in our society where we intersect, and pretty much advocating for those things to be corrected. And so we can start with healthcare. You can look at housing. Everywhere that there is, where we move in life, that's where you can find women with disabilities, and particularly Black women with disabilities, because as I said, we live at the intersection of disability, of race, gender, and disability. And it's a very dangerous intersection because we're always assaulted at every level. In fact, there's this researcher who created this term called triple jeopardy syndrome, and it just really tells a story of how women are marginalized on these identities, and you never really know. I know I don't, and still do today. Never know which of those identities that's really kind of working against me. You know, for example, I don't know if I don't get a job sometimes, apply for a job, I don't know if I'm not getting that job because what? I'm Black, because I'm a woman, or because of my disability. I never really know, but, because they're always, those identities are always marginalized and they're always discriminated against. And you just never know which one is working against you. So that's why Divas works very, very hard for us to really own who we are, and advocate for one another, advocate for ourselves, because that's really, really important. So if I didn't tell you a little bit too, our vision is to ensure that divas, dynamic, illuminating, victorious, achieving sisters, are portrayed and represented throughout media. Our core values are diversity and inclusion and empowerment, image transformation, social justice, perseverance, and civic engagement. We have partnerships with various casting agencies. The Disney TV animation division sends us casting calls many times. We're always getting casting calls for blind women lately. That's been really a big one, and I'm really happy about that. And young girls. So again, having these partnerships with various casting agencies exactly advances our mission, because that's what we want to do. We want to see ourselves in the space of mass media. As an actress, I can also claim that too. I can call myself an actress, an advocate, an educator. I can call myself a lot of different titles, and I own all of them. But I just want to say, as an actress for young girls, I want to show that young girls with disabilities can be in that space. That if I wanted to show up with my prosthesis on, I could. And if I wanted to take my prosthesis off, I could. We should be able to show up the way that we live. And that's sometimes when I show up on a set and I show up on commercials, that's what I'm actually trying to do. I'm trying to say, you don't have to cast me because I have one leg. You can cast me in any role. I just happen to have one leg, right? It does, again, it's a detail of my identity, but it doesn't define the whole person.